Hello, welcome to another episode of Decentral Lounge brought to you by GlobalStake, your institutional, truly decentralized, self-owned and managed SOC 2 compliant bare metal staking service provider. Welcome to our podcast. Today, we are honored to have Ray Alva, the CEO of ARK.io, joining us. ARK.io is known for its innovative blockchain technology that aims to simplify the user experience and foster widespread adoption of blockchain through easy-to-use products and practical services. Under Ray's leadership, ARK.io continues to push the boundaries of blockchain utility, fostering on interoperability and user-friendliness. Ray's vision for a more accessible blockchain ecosystem drives the development of new tools and platforms that make it easier for everyone to engage with and benefit from decentralized technologies. Join us as we delve into Ray's insights on the future of blockchain and what makes ARK.io a leader in this transformative industry. Ray, welcome to the show officially.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan and Jordan. I don't even think I need to do an intro. I might even start borrowing that so I can just start introducing myself when I go places. That's great.
No, we're not going to let you off that easy. So obviously, one of the first things that we like to ask all of our guests is what really got you into this Web3 space, into blockchain technology? Tell us a little bit about your origin story, if you will.
Yeah, it really all started around law school. In about 2011 to 2014, I was attending law school at the time. And then during that time, I had always kept kind of like an ear to the ground on what was the newest tech and what was going on. And, obviously Bitcoin had gotten a reputation for people saying that this is going to be sovereign money, the future of finance and all that. So I always kept like an interest in it. Funny enough, around 2013, when I was heading into my senior year, my L3 year, right, in law school, they told us, well, we want to do some more articles on, what's going on in finance and in credit and any types of the traditional markets. And we're also going to look at some new stuff. So this was my contracts professor, actually, who was, I was a RA for a research assistant for. And she said, okay, let's do some stuff on, the Dodd-Frank Act, and let's do some stuff on Warren Buffett's comments on Bitcoin. So I remember going through that and basically studying up on what Warren Buffett was saying about Bitcoin. And, lucky to say I didn't agree with him, because I wouldn't be here right now if I did. But at that time, my professor took a really strong stance saying that, Bitcoin is cool. It's a nice idea, but it's never going to cement itself as a financial tool in the future. Obviously, this isn't like a crack at anybody's like what they can see into in the future, right? But obviously that didn't pan out the way she thought it would. For me, I remember reading about Bitcoin, and my first thing was read Warren Buffett's comments, and then I went and I read the Bitcoin white paper. And after I read the white paper, I said, you know what, like, yeah, around this time, Bitcoin is not heavily used. It does have a lot of speculation around it, but it's not nothing either. And it does have a lot of pros to some of the ailments of the current financial system that, we had found ourselves in at that time. Anyways, after graduating and being under a huge amount of student debt, started studying for the bar exam, and just got more and more interested in Bitcoin and other, cryptocurrencies at the time. Like Ethereum was already out at that time. And I was kind of like going around the rounds and looking at different cryptocurrency communities, blockchain communities, and trying to find stuff that spoke to me. So that's pretty much how I got in. It was more of interest in what was actually going on, and two, it was spurred by, professors and peers within my law school.
I'm curious to what, I mean, I don't know if you still have contact with that professor, but I'm curious what that professor's thoughts would be now, considering the landscape that we have inherited, especially with ETFs and everything else, and hopefully approaching regulatory clarity and whatnot. But there's a little bit of in your backstory that I find particularly interesting, because I know you, and in full disclosure, I consider you a friend, and this is part of the story that maybe you left out. But how did you discover ARK specifically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going into different blockchain communities, right? I saw this one that was about ARK, and I said, okay, well, that's cool. First off, it's a cool name. A lot of similarities to the ARK dinosaur game, which was big at the time. So I was like, well, this sounds cool. Let's go check out what's it all about. And then as I started checking it out, I kind of saw the messaging and the products that they were building and the vision, the overall vision of the project at that time was something that spoke to me, because I felt it was, we're not just, it's not a cryptocurrency coin. We're not pumping bags. We're not doing all this crazy stuff that other projects are doing. We're not promising things that are out of reach, right? What they were focused on at that time was solely providing very user-friendly, simple tools for blockchain. So basically the older slogan, which a lot of people from that community know as point-click blockchain, was we wanted to simplify things down to the level where you wanted to run your own blockchain. All you have to do is click a few buttons. You want to do, you want to have a wallet with easy access to your finances, to have easy access to monitoring your cryptocurrency. We built that for ARK. So those types of things, they spoke to me more because I felt that in order to have mass adoption and in order to really bring this to the forefront, you really needed to make it simple for people. And that was something that even to this day right now, our industry still struggles with, is how do we simplify things down to the level where, somebody's friend who has never interacted with blockchain can get into it and play with these different systems. So a lot of the things that we're looking for in the future are, how do we make blockchain, how do we take advantage of this technology and have it run in the background, whereas people don't even know that this is powered by blockchain, but it is, and it works really well, and it does things that traditional tools or traditional programs and products and apps can't do.
I have a question. So for our users that are listening, a lot of them are institutions, so VCs, hedge funds, family offices, et cetera, and then quite a few people in the protocol space. So this question is going to be more like very high level. Can you explain, is ARK operating on another blockchain's layer 0, or is it truly its own layer 1? And then can you explain the ecosystem in regards to how its focuses to growing and evolving in the marketplace going forward? There's a lot of questions in the space and marketplace now around interoperability. So does ARK's blockchain have any interoperability with other blockchains, or is its goal to basically pioneer and be its own very large ecosystem? So kind of a loaded question there.
Well, yeah, a lot of different parts to go at it here, but I'll do it part by part. So first thing is, ARK is its own blockchain. It's a layer 1. It was originally devolved from Crypty and Lisk at the time, where those were some older blockchains that had already been around, and the original founders of ARK had moved from Crypty and Lisk to form their own blockchain. So at the beginning, ARK's consensus mechanism was based off of Lisk's. And then afterwards, after some iterations on their core, and the legacy baggage from Lisk's, systems, they had decided, well, you know what, let's just create our consensus mechanism from scratch. And that's what they did. So their consensus mechanism, which is known as ARK Core, had continued to evolve over the past couple of years. And now we are actually, which goes to your other question about interoperability, we are moving towards a new consensus model, which is largely influenced by Tendermint on the Cosmos ecosystem. And we're writing that from scratch as well. Again, it's called Mainsail. It's part of ARK's ecosystem, and that's going to allow for some interoperability. Right now, we do release weekly development reports on arkscic.com that people can read in our blog. But one of the main things that we're working on right now is EVM implementation. So therefore, after that is situated and set, well tested, and launched on mainnet, then yes, there could be interoperability with other blockchains, specifically EVM compatible blockchains. And did I miss anything? Because it was a big question, so I want to make sure I hit all your questions.
You hit all the points. And the EVM aspect is one that most people always bring up. Like, is it EVM compatible? So exciting to hear the interoperability is on the roadmap for that.
Yep, definitely. It was something we looked at because at the beginning and this is like part of ARK's history, is that before Ethereum even was fully out and building on their vision, our vision was that people wouldn't want to have one sovereign blockchain that would handle all types of use cases. We felt that there would be a different blockchain that would handle things like supply chain management. We thought there would be another one that would handle things like, basically business to business services. So we felt that because of that, we didn't want to have, let's say you're a business owner, beholden to the bigger decisions of one sole sovereign blockchain, right? So we felt that people would want to create their own chains. And in that was the vision of ARK, where it would be a interoperable multi-chain type of ecosystem. As we evolved in the industry, we kind of saw with Ethereum that people don't really care, right? They'll go where there's liquidity, and they'll go where there's quick transactions, and they'll go where things are easy to use, right? Which is why Ethereum, Polygon, and others have gotten such a leg up and have huge war chests to boot for, building. So I do think that as we evolve in the future, for us, it's about, our vision is changing more so in the fact that we don't have to be the world's best blockchain, but more so, can we make our blockchain the most accessible? Can we make it easy to use, easy to understand, and later on, easy to teach others on how to use this tech appropriately and make it accessible?
So one of the things that we kind of glossed over a little bit in your journey with ARK is, you obviously found it and you discovered it as sort of a community member, but you weren't originally the CEO. So can you tell us a little bit of the story, the rise to how you got to be in this position of leadership and what you guys are doing now currently?
Yeah, for sure. It's a long story, but basically the highlights is I got involved in the community, and then this is something that I tell everybody when they always ask me, like, well, your industry is really interesting. How can I get started in it? What should I do? And for a lot of people, the first thing that they want is they want to go apply for jobs, and they want to go get into an interview, and they want to go ahead and do the thing, right? Which is all well and good, right? Everybody needs to have income to support themselves and do all that. But for me, when I first started, I already had a job at the time. I was in the community, and I was learning about blockchain slowly. And, I just started looking at, well, what can I do to, bring value, to this community that I'm in right now? So started doing articles, started looking at ways that I can lend the things that I was good at, which was a lot of it, unfortunately, from law school, was just basically writing, reading, understanding, communicating, right? Not bad traits. And how can I use that to make the ecosystem better? ARK also has validators, just like other popular blockchains, right? So at that time, me and a friend, Cam, we started running our own validator together. He did all the technical stuff, and then I did the the outward facing stuff. So I wrote articles. Later on, I did a project or used the delegate to basically create a project called Folding at Home. We created that project on the ARK ecosystem just so that we can share the basically the benefits of doing something that was philanthropic in nature, where people can lend their CPU processing power to do work that could help cure potential diseases like Alzheimer's, cancers, and things like that. Later on, eventually looking for COVID, sifting through that data. So long story short, it was mostly about how could I just provide value to that community. And over time, the ARK co-founders and the ARK team themselves started communicating with me a lot more. So that's where, after a while, one of the co-founders, his name's Matt, he told me, hey, do you think maybe you'd want to work here? Because I'm looking at a position that we're going to be filling in the next couple of months. Can't guarantee you'll get it or anything like that, but you can interview, and then we can go from there. So I interviewed, and I started as strategic partnerships manager for ARK, and I started looking at different companies and different ways that we can start like expanding our presence online. So we created this product called Market Square, where the goal was to bring all these educational resources together. So during that time, I made about 40+ partnerships with different projects and ecosystems, Polkadot being one of them. We also worked with a lot of different projects that you might know of. So we really took that time to really define like how we were going to be approaching different projects and working with them. I guess, you know, everybody thought I was doing a good job, and I had a lot of leadership skills that I had transferred over from other jobs and other things that I have done in the past. So when they were looking to say, well, we need new direction for ARK, we need to fix a lot of the things internally, we need to have a fresh set of eyes, like who can we bring in? And then Matt again and Lars, other co-founders, were saying, you know what, maybe the guy is already here, maybe it's Ray. So, you know, they didn't sugarcoat it, and they said it's going to be a hard job, there's going to be a lot of things that need to be fixed, but if you're up for the challenge, you have a good group of people here that can support you, and everybody can work together towards this common goal, right? So I thought about it. You know, this is a lot of responsibility. It's also an industry that lacks a lot of regulation, a lot of lacks clarity in what the future looks like in terms of like a regulatory structure. So I said this is also a risk doing this, especially as a US-based person. So had to think about it, and then ultimately decided that, you know what, this is the best course, and haven't looked back. So became strategic partnerships manager in 2019, and then became CEO in late 2021.
From community member to CEO, I don't think we've ever had a story like this on Decentral Lounge yet. So I love that part of your story, and I just wanted to hear more about it. One of the things too that has been interesting and just learning about ARK is, you know, everybody seems to, of course, love their specific language. Rust is all the rage right now, and a lot of different Move VM and others being made. But ARK didn't go that route, and you use a pretty common type of language. And can you tell us more about why that choice was made and how that opens up doors for, you know, people who maybe want to learn about blockchain?
Yeah, for sure. I do think that a lot of the languages that are very popular today in our space are becoming more and more accessible, such as Rust and Solidity. But when ARK started out, everybody wanted to do all these complicated like programming languages to be able to interact with blockchain. And we said, you know what is the most common programming language in the world? You know, JavaScript and TypeScript. Those were some of the most accessible. So if we want to reach a global audience, and if we want to reach people in a way that they can just get in and start tinkering from a position where they don't have to go and learn this new language, then that was something that we felt was very valuable. So that's why we have built ARK in TypeScript. And that's why to this day, we continue to build all of our products in that way. We continue to make them open source, and we continue to look at even our consensus mechanism, working on it in the same manner. So we feel that if it's going to be about mass adoption, if it's going to be about educating people, then we have to start from a place where people are comfortable in accessing that stuff. So making it in TypeScript, we felt that that was like a small leap for some people to be able to do that leap and to get started. Also, when doing hackathons, a lot of hackathons and schools that have programs for computer science, a lot of them start with those languages at the beginning. So it is really a good base to expand further upon. Of course, like any language, has limitations, has things that, you know, are difficult for us to kind of tackle. But I think from late 2016 to early 2017 to 2024, we have retained a lot of developers that have started with us from the beginning. So that's a huge value to us, is having that knowledge, be able to stay with us and to be able to refine it and then pass it down to new developers. We feel that that kind of is one of our strengths, because when we do come down and it's time to start a new product and work on something new, I do feel that our developers are moving faster and faster with everything. And that's a good feeling when you look at it from an operational perspective.
One of the things that you have mentioned several times, Ray, so far is educate, and talk about teaching. And, you know, you really have envisioned, or the ARK community and the company and the protocol itself is really about trying to, as you said, open up blockchain to the masses. And it seems as if this is sort of a core mission for ARK right now, trying to bring this to everyone. And with TypeScript, obviously, that lends itself, because it's a language that is commonly known, or even if you know JavaScript, it's a pretty close cousin. So what sort of things are being done now to help, educate people and to bring this to others? Because it seems like it's part of the core mission, is this philanthropic arm to really help people understand blockchain and what this industry is all about.
Yeah, I think and this is like a good segue, because a lot of people, when they think of cryptocurrency or they think of blockchain companies, they think of, okay, well, how can I make an investment and make myself rich? Where the ARK company itself is an SCIC based in France. And what I will applaud the ARK team for very early on is they said, we're not looking at this as like an investment. This isn't like, Bitcoin or Ethereum where you're hoping to make returns on this, or this isn't like meme coins where you're hoping to make a huge return on it for basically doing nothing, right? Just holding a coin. And during that time, the SCIC, the vision of ARK and the SCIC's purpose was to continue to expand blockchain technology in the world and make it accessible to people. This includes people that obviously don't have the financial resource or the educational resources to be able to access this stuff. So that's why a lot of our stuff that we're focused on right now is on, first off, refining the products, which was a huge goal moving forward from 2022 to 2024, because without the products in place, it's going to be very hard to, run educational seminars, to run workshops, to run hackathons. And then after that is done, then we are actually shifting a huge focus into education. Recently, we did get accepted into the Blockchain Association, which is the leading voice for regulatory and basically legislation in the US that tackles the entire industry. They represent us on a grand scale in Washington, and one of their pillars is education as well. So we thought it was a natural partnership. And we did feel that going in this direction in the future is we do want to get involved at first the local level and at the national level, and hopefully in different countries around the world, where we can provide templates, we can provide the building blocks necessary to be able to form, or supplement different schools' STEM programs, computer science programs, cybersecurity programs, where people can use blockchain and understand it and then use that to supplement their learning in school. We feel that if there is going to be mass adoption in the future, we do need to start showing people why this is a valuable industry and what benefits it can provide past those financial incentives, and try to make people understand, well, if we do blockchain and you understand how it works in terms of, let's say, credentials, and in terms of money laundering, or in terms of fraud prevention, then there's a lot of use cases that we can tackle, that we can learn about, that we can expose people to, where they can see the industry in a more positive light, and they can see that the technology can be catalyzed as a major force for good.
That's very exciting. Ray, thanks so much for coming on the show today. For those that have been listening that want to get involved, that are saying, wait a minute, I know those programming languages, I want to start building. What's the best place for people to reach out, either to you directly, to the team directly, and the project directly?
Yeah, I mean, I check my email all the time. So I always tell people, if you have, contributions you'd like to make, there's things that you want to see in the future, you can always email me. My email is ray, R-A-Y, @ark.io. So you can always send me an email. Other ways that we like to see people be involved is to basically keep up to date on our blog on arkscic.com. Those are really the main ones for us, because we do feel like we get a lot of high quality leads from that. A lot of good people come our way from that, a lot of developers. And then obviously look at the ARK ecosystem GitHub. All our stuff is open source. We build in public. We have weekly dev reports. So if you see a problem, or if you see an issue in GitHub on one of the products, or if you have a feature request, or you think you can make some of them even better, we welcome all of that. And we really love the interaction we get from our community of developers and people that want to make a difference in those products. So definitely check us out on GitHub. Feel free to email me, and then also stay up to date on our blog and our dev reports.
Awesome. Well, we will have everything linked below for those of you that are listening on the respective platforms. Ray, thank you again for your time today. We're excited for what you guys are building, have built, and are continuing to spearhead into the future. Appreciate you coming on the show today. And thank you all for listening. Feel free to go reach out to Ray and team, and we will catch you all in the next episode of Decentralounge.
Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.